Daniel here for Tabletop for One, and my first impressions after 4 plays of Apiary. And I thank you for joining me today. Now, Apiary is designed by Connie Vogelmann, and it's the latest game from Stonemaier Games. And I pre-ordered this game after watching Michael Kelly on his One-Stop Co-op shop. I saw it and I was like, I gotta play this game. Now, I normally don't do first impressions so quickly after I've done a tutorial solo playthrough, because usually I have to play it a couple more times before I'm ready, but I've played this so many times already and I'm ready to talk about it. Now, in Apiary, you are leading a hive of bees into space, and you are trying to go explore planets and harvest resources, fiber, water, and pollen, and then you make some wax and some honey. You build out this tableau of a hive based off of hex tiles. You build farms, recruit additional bees, develop your area, and then you do these things called carvings that give you some awesome endgame points. Now, in the solo mode here, you're going to be playing against an AI that's going to compete with you for total points as well as remove tiles on the board. Now, as far as the production quality goes, the production quality on this is fantastic. Now, of course, with the price that it is, I think I spent just shy of $60 on it, and I think the MSRP is around $75. It goes without saying that it should be well produced, and it really is. And the insert is well done. Everything looks nice, it feels nice, except for one thing. Actually, two things, sorry. First, the card stock. Now, for the hive itself, I understand why the card stock's there. It would just make the game too thick to do that. But you have these things called frames where you add these onto your hive to expand it so you can place more tiles in your hive. And they're made of cardstock, and they're kind of flimsy and they bend too easily and that sort of thing. And I just kind of wish that they were also made of the chipboard material. But that's a small gripe because, once you put your tiles on it, it's not so much of an issue. But the other thing I want to mention is that the bees themselves, since they age, they power up, or whatever you want to call it, they rotate, showing one number after number, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The numbers themselves are not printed in any contrasting color, so they're sometimes hard to see. And I don't know if there's like a wash or something on the bees themselves that makes them look a little bit darker than they are, and again, it doesn't make it easy to see the numbers so clearly, unless you have better eyesight than I do. So what I ended up doing was I ended up painting all those numbers white, and it's so much better. But other than that, honestly, the card quality, the component quality, the token quality, the queen bee miniature, everything is fantastic, and it's great for the price. All right, so let's talk about the gameplay. In Apiary, you are sending your bees, you're doing worker placement where you place your worker bee out on an action, doing that action, and then later on you can retrieve all your workers, gain some bonuses, and possibly do what is called hibernate. And so for each of the actions, you're going to place a worker out, and depending on the strength of the worker, it's going to give you a better access to that action. Now, all the actions except the carve action can be any number of worker, but the carve action itself requires a level 4 worker. But all the other actions, if you place a level 4 worker there, will do a more powerful ability. Now, like I said, instead of placing out a worker, you can retrieve the workers. And when you retrieve the workers, they're going to power up. So each worker will go up 1 value. If it's a level 4 worker, it'll automatically hibernate, and I'll talk about hibernate in a minute. But the rest of them are going to go back to your docking mat, and then you can activate any farms, 1 unique farm per worker that you retrieve that turn. And what that does is give you a lot of income. It could give you what is called Queen's Favor, which ends up being points at the end of the game. It can give you resources, it can give you points, it can give you all sorts of things. So income can be very valuable depending on how many farms you have and how many workers you retrieve. And then the last thing that can happen with your workers is they can hibernate. Now, when a level 4 worker hibernates, it's anytime that it's retrieved or bumped off a space. And it immediately hibernates, so you lose the worker. It kind of dies off, I guess. Well, hibernates, but basically it's gone. And you put this little token on the hibernation spot. It gives you a little bonus. But also, those tokens in the hibernation spot, you're vying for control of those areas, and later on can get points at the end of the game. Now, the last thing I want to mention about workers is the bumping. See, in this worker placement game, there is no blocking. Anytime that you place a worker out, if there's a worker already in that spot, you bump it out of its place. If it's in one of the places that has 2 worker placement spots, you bump one down, and if there's a second one in the second spot, that one gets bumped back to the player board. And of course, this could cause hibernations if a level 4 worker is bumped off. That almost sounds like if a level 4 worker is killed off. Anyways, now for the ease of solo play, the solo mode is designed by the Automa Factory, which is, renowned for its streamlined solo modes, and this is no different. Basically, you're going to flip over a card for the AI, and you're going to work your way down the list. The first possible action it can do, it'll do that action and then end its turn. Now, the top of the AI's deck tells you the priorities. It'll tell you the color of worker it uses. It'll tell you how it'll move on the explore or which tile to choose when it does the carve action. And then it'll tell you what resources it places on planets when it explores. So it's very streamlined, easy to use, easy to run. There is some little bit of a confusion on how to move on the planets or to where to place their hibernation tokens, but after a couple plays it becomes real easy. And so now let's talk about the replayability. Now, in the game itself, it seems to be, after all the plays that I've played, that you go through about half the tiles. And so you don't see half the tiles every time you play. And so the tiles you see are different, the offerings are different, the way you can combo those tiles together really are different every time you play. Of course, the carved tiles themselves, though, you only see 6 of them, and there's like a stack of like 30 of them. And usually in the solo mode, you only gain 1 or 2 of them, because the AI gains a lot of them. So you don't get to use those too often, so there's a lot of them to use and a lot of ways to approach the game. Now, there are different factions. There's like, 15, 20 different factions, and they all provide different abilities. And then the hive mats themselves, there's 5 of them, and they provide a different setup and different bonuses for when you place tiles. And so that provides kind of a different way you approach the game, especially as some of them provide discounts for buying tiles, others provide free workers. And so there's different ways to approach the game with those. The unfortunate thing about that is the 5 hive mats are only single-sided. I don't know why they didn't make them double-sided and have 5 more. That would have been real nice to have, but maybe there was a balance issue with that. I just think it was a missed opportunity to use that other side for something. And so as I transition into what I think of this game is, like, I keep wanting to replay this game. The way you feel when you do the actions and some of the powerful actions, you almost feel like it's breaking the game. Some of the tiles that let you gain tiles for free and fill them into your hive, it's just like, wow, I actually got to do that. I got to buy this tile, which gave me 2 other tiles, which gave me all these extra points and did all these things. Or I played 3 different cards in a row that let me do all these things all at once on my one turn. Or, one card lets me take another turn, basically, placing another worker. Like, all different things. There's so many different things. It's so satisfying. Every action you do doesn't ever feel like a bad action. It doesn't ever feel wasted. You always feel like you're accomplishing something big with each action you do. I think the only actions that feel like it's okay is the explore action, because it's basically just getting resources. You don't always feel like you're doing a lot unless you end up putting a level 4 worker there. The moment you put a level 4 worker there and do a level 4 ability on the planet, then you're like, dude, I just broke the game. It was awesome. But here's the thing. I have a problem with the solo mode as it is presented. I've mentioned this on Facebook already, but the solo mode is a disconnect for me. Don't get me wrong. The game itself is designed incredibly well. The solo mode itself is designed incredibly well. I don't think they mesh together. You're playing against an AI. You're supposed to compete with the AI. You're supposed to get more points than the AI. But you can't ever block the AI. Okay, maybe not ever. You can do that in the hibernation section where you can gain majority over the AI and maybe block a few points there. But the chances are is that you can't really block the AI. Yes, you can choose not to bump a worker, but eventually you will have to bump a worker, or they're going to retrieve that worker anyways and, get a hibernation bonus or whatever. And so there's very little you can do to affect the AI's score. Since you don't score the vast majority of points while you play the game and can't affect the AI's score, it doesn't matter in the end if you win. Like, you don't feel like you win, because I don't feel like I'm competing with an AI. I feel like what I'm doing here is just trying to achieve the highest score without having to worry about what the AI is doing. As one of my friends said, basically the AI feels like a random number generator. Like you're going through the motions, doing all the AI's actions to the point of getting a random number to beat. I don't know how to explain it any more than that. You don't ever feel like you're competing against the AI, even though this is an AI designed to be competition. If this was a solo mode where it's a beat your own score solo mode, I wouldn't be saying anything about it, because that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like a beat your own score solo mode, but has you going through the motions of operating an AI. And again, I want to qualify that I don't think the AI design is bad. And I don't think the game design is bad. I just think there's a disconnect between what the AI is supposed to be and how it actually is. So, do I recommend this game? I'm mixed on that. See, here, I've really loved every game I played. I've really enjoyed it. I just haven't cared about winning because I just don't care what the AI scores because I can't do anything about it. But I love the gameplay. It is fun. It is fast. It is, you feel powerful every time you do an action and you get to do all these things, gathering all these resources, doing all these great things, filling out your hive, gaining all these points. It feels really good, but I just don't care about the AI. I just don't care about playing against it. I don't care what it scores. I don't care about winning. So thankfully, the game is so well done, so well designed, and so much fun that I enjoy playing it regardless of how it turns out at the end. So do I recommend it? Yes, if you understand and are okay with the fact that the AI, you can't compete with it. If you're okay with that, then yeah, absolutely. I do recommend it. It is a fantastic game. I can only imagine that it's excellent at 2-player, maybe 3-player. I would imagine more players would be a lot of downtime. So if you're planning on playing a multiplayer and solo, oh yeah, I'd say definitely pick it up. But yeah, just understand my qualifications there. I don't think this is a bad game. I think this is one of the best Stonemaier games I've played. Maybe not the best, but one of them. I think this is a really good game. And so there you have it. That was my first impressions after 4 plays of Apiary by Connie Vogelmann and published by Stonemaier Games. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of my impressions here and what you think of the game. Also, let me know how wrong I am about that solo mode. Maybe it's just the way I feel about it. But please also like and subscribe to this channel if you like the content that you see here, and I thank you very much for joining me on Tabletop for One. Have a great night.